Hello again, everyone. This is DejaVu bringing you a match from the SC2 Star Cup Week 8. This is between Meteor Garden and Manor Beats Skill. This is going to be a Protoss versus Protoss match between Meteor Garden's Dullahan in the top left here, and MBS's Manor Beats Skill's KTF Garlic here in the bottom right. The map is Monty Hall, which is definitely a odd map in that you have three natural expansions that are pretty close to your base, like geographic-wise, but they're blocked off by these mineral patches, which means that you either have to, with Protoss, you either have to trick a probe through to try and get your expansion, or you can wait till you get a dropship and drop a probe over. Normally you see a player will trick a probe through using a pylon simply because it lets you get there a whole lot faster than getting a dropship. And a lot of times you can do it earlier without the other player knowing, because they actually have to check three different spots that you could throw up your expansions, and all of them require, in order to detect them early, all of them require that you trick a separate probe all the way this way, and then you'd have to trick a second probe this way to get through here, or you'd have to do like a triple trick, with a probe going through multiple mineral lines, which is very difficult to scout until you get air. And it looks like Garlic threw up his first pylon near this mineral patch on the left side. This line, which is definitely a good which is definitely a good idea, because it lets him scout out if Dullahan tries to trick a probe through, or if he tries to start mining this out early, or anything like that. So it's definitely suggested that you throw down pylons here near the mineral line. Whereas it looks like Dullahan just threw his in the normal standard position. I don't think it will really come into play, but it is interesting to see that. And it also looks like Garlic did throw down his assimilator before his gateway, so he's going to go for some early gas, which is definitely viable on this map, because you don't have to worry about an early rush, and if you do, it's usually a very awkward rush. Just because it's so difficult to get troops through all of these mineral lines. And it does look like Dullahan tricked a probe through, and he threw down a 12 nexus, which is very odd in a PvP game, because usually if you go for a fast expansion, or really an expansion of any sort in a PvP, that 400 minerals is just worth so much. It's worth maybe 3 Dragoons, or it's worth another shuttle and a Reaver, or something along those lines that the other Protoss player will be able to use against you. And usually it means that you die in terms of the army, in the army game, and then you will end up losing. But because this map is Monty Hall, because it's going to be hard for Garlic to find out that this happened until he gets air. Even if he tricks this probe through, I think he might. It looks like he's setting up to trick a probe through this way. So he'll scout out the base right on the inside middle area here, but he won't see this one quite yet, and he'll still have to possibly scout here. So if Garlic does this wrong in terms of, or not wrong, but just gets unlucky in terms of scouting, he goes from this middle expansion over to this side expansion, it could be a really long time before he even knows that Dullahan has that expansion up here to the right of his base. And it looks like Dullahan's going to try and pylon trick a probe into Garlic's base so he can get a scout off. And if he succeeds, and he's going to try, okay, he's trying, and no, he wasn't able to do it. It's really hard if they already have a mineral in its hand, if the probe already has minerals, because usually what you want to do is you want to have the probe mining the minerals and then drop the, just so that way they get that much closer to the minerals, and then the probe, the pylon can push it over a little better. But since it already had the minerals in its hand, it wasn't really able to do that. And it looks like he gave up on trying to trick it through. And it looks like Garlic is just setting up shop here at this expansion for Dullahan, and he's just watching. I wonder if he'll try. It looks like he's going to set up for tricking a probe through as well, which would let him get a big scout in. Dullahan is going to go for 2-gate, core, and I would assume a robo, maybe. I would assume a robo for both the players, just because you're going to need dropships in this game. Although it looks like Garlic is going to go for Stargate, which I'm not really sure why. Garlic did manage to trick that probe through. I'm wondering why he's going for that Stargate. He hasn't thrown up an expansion yet, so it can't be like carriers or anything. So, because I could see 2 base carriers being viable on this map, but for 2 Stargates, I mean, maybe he's going for coursers, maybe he's assuming mass dropship play or something, and he's just trying to pick up dropships, but I'm not really sure. I think he'd be better off getting more Dragoons, or getting Reavers of his own, Observers and Reavers. And it looks like Garlic did get a full look at Dullahan's base. So he saw 2 gates, he saw the core, and he saw the robo just now being thrown up. So he should know that Dullahan has an expansion somewhere, because there's no reason for Dullahan to be that far behind it in tech otherwise. So hopefully he'll try and trick another probe through up here and in here, and try and scout out both of these bases and be able to find Dullahan's expansion, because I think he really needs to. And Fleet Beacon going down for Garlic. So Garlic is going to go for this ridiculous 1 base carrier build I don't know if this is going to work. He hasn't wasted any gas yet. I will say that. Outside of the only gas he's used so far is on 1 Dragoon, the Fleet Beacon, and the 2 Stargates. So he does have more gas than you would normally expect a player to have at this point. But at the same time, from 1 base, I don't think you can support 2 base carriers. Even on this map where you can hide the fact that you're going 2 base or 1 base carriers, you can hide the fact that you're going for carriers. I still don't think that you have nearly enough gas and mining capacity to support it. He really should have, if he wanted to go carriers, I think he should have tried going 2 base carriers and proceeded from that point, which is much more viable. But now that Dullahan's been able to connect his bases, now that the minerals are mined out, both of his bases are connected. If the bases weren't connected and the mineral line was still there, I could see possibly Garlic being able to use his carriers and knock out this base while the troops of Dullahan were not around, and then be able to contain Dullahan and eventually wear him down. But since they're connected, he's going to be able to funnel Dragoons back and forth between the two. I can't see Garlic getting enough carriers out to fight off the Dragoons and eventually the Templar that Dullahan will have from 2 bases. It's just going to be extremely difficult for Garlic. If he has ridiculous carrier micro, maybe, but I think there'll just be too many Dragoons and they'll kill all the interceptors. And if Garlic messes up his micro at all, his carriers will be shot and taken down too. So I do not like this build at all. It does look like Garlic's going to throw up a second base now, which is so late. Dullahan got this base up 12 Nexus, and Garlic's not throwing up his base until 38. And this includes waiting for a couple Stargates and carriers to start. First carrier is out, and he is researching the capacity for more interceptors. But this base is just going to be so late, and he's still not throwing it down. I assume he started building another carrier. Yeah, he's building another carrier. So I'm not really sure what he's doing with this. If he wanted to throw down the second base, he should have cut the carrier capacity production for a few seconds and thrown down the second base just to get it up that much faster. But we'll see. It looks like he's going to be dedicated to this 1 base carrier build because I can't see him getting the second base up against Dullahan and succeeding, because he's going to have to use these carriers to keep Dullahan's forces back at base. But Dullahan's going to have, I think, a huge advantage in this, in that he's going to have a lot more Dragoons, he's going to have a lot more mobility, because now that he has observers out, Dullahan does, if he finds this carrier, which luckily for Garlic he did not, but if he had found the carriers, he would have just been able to follow them with observers and always known where the carriers were, and at that point, Dullahan can attack with even minimal forces, just like maybe 3 Dragoons or something, 3 or 4 Dragoons anywhere that the carriers aren't, and then save the rest of his forces, all the rest of his Dragoons and Templar and everything for wherever the carriers are going to attack, and he'll always know where the carriers are going to attack. So he'll be able to set up his forces in a very good position and be able to get pincer moves on the carriers, everything. So Garlic is definitely in a terrible position right now, especially if one of these observers finds the carriers. I'm surprised that Dullahan hasn't moved 1 or 2 of these observers into Garlic's base just to get the full scout. And it looks like now he is going to, but he still hasn't moved far down enough to see the carriers. I don't know what he's doing. He really should have seen these by now with these observers. But luckily for Garlic, it hasn't yet. Maybe, just maybe, with 2 carriers he might be able to do enough damage, but I really don't think so. It should be interesting. Dullahan is also sending down a force to this potential expansion for Garlic, and he's going to take it down with like 8 or so, 7 or 8 Dragoons, it looks like, and that's going to go down real easy. But Garlic has carriers in the back of Dullahan's base, and he's sitting here trying to pick off probes. It looks like he might be focusing firing the Nexus. No, he's just killing probes. And let's see how many kills they have. I can't tell because they're still building interceptors, so I can't tell how many kills they have. But he really needs to move these carriers and take advantage of like more doodads or something, because over here they're just going to have all the interceptors killed. And if Dullahan microed this his Dragoons, he could probably move them back into this position to start picking off the carriers, actually shooting them directly. But he's letting Garlic get pot shots off on his Nexus. If this Nexus does go down, if Dullahan doesn't change his tactics and go for the actual carriers themselves, then this carrier rush for Garlic will definitely be considered a success. Oh no, I missed this. Apparently, when this part got mined out, and Dullahan is now in Garlic's base, and he's killing probes. So Garlic economy is in tatters right now. That assimilator is going to go down. He's losing probes everywhere, and he's not going to be able to support. And now Dullahan went back, and he's going to pick off these carriers. So this is going to be GG's. Garlic's carriers are getting picked off, and they are done. And his economy is already in tatters. There's a new carrier out, but there's no point. He's not going to have interceptors in time to really do anything. But yeah, this 1 base carrier build for Garlic, definitely not advisable, even on this map. And it looks like, yeah, there's GG from both players. And I will see you